Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to my channel. Is the heart just a blood pumping organ? We shall explore this tricky question in this video. The modern world is heartless, not only in the symbolic sense, as the capitalistic system keeps destroying nature and dehumanizing man, but also quite literally. The likes of philosopher Aristotle and physician Galen deemed the heart to be the central seat of intelligence, emotions, and soul. However, it's no longer seen as the spiritual center of man, as it was in traditional civilizations. The desacralization of the heart happened in the 17th century with physician Harvey and philosopher Descartes. The two may have had diverging views, but ultimately both gave it a materialistic interpretation. It's just an organ. Of course, as German philosopher Ernst Cassirer has discussed, language itself is deeply rooted in myth and poetry. Therefore, secularization could not enact its materialistic demolition job completely. Until today, even in the secular West, an expression such as the heart of a matter means the center, most important, or innermost part of the said matter. The heart is still used, often crudely, in romantic movies and songs as a spiritual symbol of love and not just an organ. In numerous Quranic ayat and authentic ahadith, we gain an understanding of the heart which goes far beyond its mere physiological functions. For instance, in the Quran we read, "Even then your hearts become hardened like a rock, or even harder. For some rocks gush rivers, others split, spilling water, while others are humbled in awe of Allah, and Allah is never unaware of what you do." We also read in the Quran, "The disbelievers say, if only a sign could be sent down to him from his Lord. Say, O Prophet, peace be upon him, indeed, Allah leaves to stray whoever He wills and guides to Himself whoever turns to Him. Those who believe and whose hearts find comfort in the remembrance of Allah. Surely in the remembrance of Allah, do hearts find comfort." There are also many other Quranic ayat on the subject. As for the authentic Ahadith, we find in Sahih al-Bukhari, narrated an-Nu'man bin Bashir, "There is a piece of flesh in the body. If it becomes good, the whole body becomes good. But if it gets spoiled, the whole body gets spoiled. And that is the heart." And in Sahih Muslim, Abu Huraira reported Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam as saying, "Verily Allah does not look to your faces and your wealth, but He looks to your heart and your deeds, and to your deeds." We could quote many more textual evidences, but in essence, what we derive from both the Quran and the Ahadith is that the heart is a spiritual center as well as the seat of emotions and intelligence beyond rationality. It is not merely a physical organ which pumps blood through the circulatory system. We can also quote an uncountable number of classical scholars of Islam regarding the importance of the heart. Of course, all of this suffices for us as Muslims. We do not take modern science as a benchmark or determining factor in such religious matters. But still, what if the latest academic research reaffirms the Islamic perspective? In year 2000, three authors associated with American universities penned an article for the Integrative Medicine Journal titled Changes in Heart Transplant Recipients That Parallel the Personalities of Their Donors. The authors studied many cases and directly interviewed not only transplant recipients but also their families and friends, and also those of their donors. They claimed that the transplant recipient very often replicated some of the donor's most unique behavioral traits, as if there was some sort of experiential or emotional transfer which had occurred. The authors write 2 to 5 parallels per case were observed between changes following surgery and the history of the donors. Parallels included changes in mood, music, art, recreational, and career preferences, as well as specific instances of perceptions of names and sensory experiences related to the donors. For example, one donor was killed by a gunshot to the face. The recipient had dreams of seeing hot flashes of light in his face. The authors called this cellular memory and listed all marked behavioral traits which must have passed on from the donors to the transplant recipient. These can't be coincidental at all. Recently, Dr. Mitchell Leister, professor of psychiatry associated with the University of Colorado, released an article for the journal Medical Hypothesis. The title of the article was Personality Changes Following Heart Transplantation, the Role of Cellular Memory. He basically uses the same arguments as the previous authors, but he also brings his own examples and adds perspective from the growing field of epigenetics. So he goes further than the previous authors. While discussing the matter, he also touches on things such as the DNA, the RNA, or the proteins, but without adding anything new. The fact that in such a large span of time, nothing new has been added to the discussion reveals how it is still a relatively new field of research. This could possibly be because it's meeting stern resistance from the wider scientific community due to modern science's innate materialist bias. In the modern world, saying that the heart stores memories, emotions, a certain form of intelligence, and perhaps even the soul is considered blasphemy. Besides the soul, the very existence of which they reject, according to them, all of these characteristics simply must be associated with the brain. It's quite unlikely that the crusaders of scientism will go through an enlightening change of heart on such a matter, and also other such matters. However, it certainly reaffirms the Islamic perspective about the heart transcending just its materialistic function. Not that this means much to us as Muslims, though, since we already believe firmly in the superiority and truth of Islam. Thanks for watching and listening. Please do share this video with your friends and colleagues.